The desert wind was cruel that evening, sweeping across the barren land with the kind of dry, biting chill that whispered of loneliness. A woman trudged forward, dust coating her torn skirt and sunburned face, one arm clutching her sleeping toddler tight against her chest. The child's tiny fingers, wrapped in her mother's ragged shawl, twitched every now and then, too weak to cry, too tired to even open her eyes. The woman's name was Clara May, a widow who had lost everything but the fragile life she now carried. Her husband had died months before, thrown from a horse during a cattle run that went bad, leaving her with a child and a promise to survive. She had walked for days, feet blistered and swollen, moving from one ghost town to another, searching for kindness in a world that had long forgotten how to show it. Her canteen was empty. Her strength was fading, but every step she took was for the little girl in her arms. As the sun sank low, she stumbled near the edge of a canyon trail, where the land stretched wide and endless, and there, through the shimmer of heat and dust, a figure on horseback appeared. A tall man rode slow and steady, his outline sharp against the setting sun, his hat low, his gaze steady. The cowboy stopped when he saw her. A mother half collapsed in the dirt, clutching her child like she was holding the last reason to breathe. "Ma'am?" he called out, voice deep and kind but cautious. Clara tried to stand, but her knees buckled beneath her. The cowboy was off his horse in an instant, boots crunching over dry gravel as he knelt beside her. He smelled of leather, sweat, and dust, a man of the land, hardened but not heartless. "Please," Clara whispered, her voice barely there. "Just some water for her, please." Her eyes were hollow but fierce, burning with a mother's desperation. Without hesitation, the cowboy pulled a flask from his saddlebag, lifting the child gently from her arms. The little girl stirred weakly as a few drops touched her lips. "Easy now," he murmured. "You're safe, little one." Then he looked at the woman, who was fighting to stay upright. "You're burning up. When's the last time you ate?" Clara shook her head slowly. "Doesn't matter." She needed it more. Her words hit him hard, the kind of quiet sacrifice that didn't make noise but left a mark on a man's soul. He studied her, the dirt on her hands, the torn hem of her dress, the fire still flickering in her eyes. There was something sacred in that strength, something rare. "I ain't looking for charity," Clara said suddenly, her voice trembling. "We just need to get to the next town. I can work, clean, cook, anything." The cowboy took a deep breath, eyes scanning the horizon. The next town was nearly 30 miles away, and night was closing in fast. Coyotes would be out soon, and the desert cold was crueler than the day's sun. "You won't make it on foot," he said. "You'll both freeze before dawn." She looked at him, tears gathering but never falling. "Then I'll freeze walking forward," she replied. "I don't go back." Something inside him, that old, quiet place where decency still lived, stirred awake. He'd been a drifter for years, a man without ties or home, moving from ranch to ranch, helping where he could but never staying long. He told himself it was freedom, but deep down, he knew it was running. From pain, from the ghosts of those he couldn't save. And now here she was, a woman who'd lost everything yet refused to give up. He saw a reflection of his own loneliness in her. But unlike him, she still fought for something, for someone. He straightened, offered her his hand, and when she hesitated, he spoke the words that came from deep within, steady and sure. "Yo, ma'am, your burden's mine now." Then, without waiting for protest, he lifted her and the child both, carrying them toward his horse. Clara gasped, not out of fear but disbelief. No one had carried her, helped her, or even looked her in the eye in months. "Why?" she asked softly as he settled her gently onto the horse. He looked up at her, his rough face softened by the glow of twilight. "Because the world's too heavy for one woman to carry alone." The horse began to move slowly across the open land, the cowboy leading it by the reins. The stars began to pierce the sky, cold and bright as the three of them made their way toward a distant ridge where his small campfire flickered. The child awoke and looked at him with curious eyes. "Are you going to help, Mama?" she whispered. The cowboy smiled faintly. "That's the plan, darling." He glanced at Clara, whose head rested wearily against her daughter's. "You rest now. I'll see you both home." That night, under a blanket of stars, Clara and her little girl slept for the first time in peace. The cowboy sat by the fire, hat low, rifle across his lap, keeping watch as coyotes howled in the distance. He wasn't sure why he cared, but he did. Maybe he'd been waiting for a reason to stop drifting, for a purpose that wasn't just about survival. Maybe he'd been waiting for them. When morning came, sunlight touched the horizon, and the woman awoke to the smell of coffee and fresh bread. The cowboy handed her a cup, his eyes kind but unreadable. "You've got a long road ahead," he said, "but you ain't walking it alone anymore." Clara looked at him, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Thank you." He nodded, turning to saddle the horse. "No need for thanks. Just promise me one thing, keep fighting." She smiled weakly, pulling her child close. "I never stopped." As they rode out toward the rising sun, the cowboy glanced back once at the endless desert behind them, that cruel, lonely land that had brought them together. Sometimes, he thought, the hardest roads lead you right where you belong.